OneLitPodcast may contain adult language and sensitive subject matter. Please take care while listening.
Hey everyone, I'm Olivia.
Andria.
And I'm Hayden.
And welcome to OneLitPodcast.
Woo!
We're a group of friends who have come together to grab a drink and discuss books, writing, and everything in between. We've been going over Grady Hendrix's The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, so if you're just joining us, we're going to be discussing chapters 31 to the end of the book. So we will sadly finish up the book this week, but our podcast isn't over. We're going to start up a new book next week, which is going to be picked by Andria. So we'll talk about her pick and which chapters we'll be reading for next week more at the end of the episode. We all have our drinks. So what are you guys drinking this week?
So I am drinking an Eli by Callaway Cellars Chardonnay. This is my first white wine ever, and it's really good.
I am drinking the limited release Menage a Trois Northern Seduction from Columbia Valley. It's a red blend out of Washington State.
You didn't say that right.
What did I say?
You're supposed to be like, a Menage a Trois.
Menage a Trois Northern Seduction.
The seducers divine the wine.
You have to sound all bougie whenever you say it.
It's got a little spice.
Got a little spice in it.
That would be good for when we go back to reading smut books.
Coming soon, smut to you.
Thank you. So I am not drinking any wine or alcohol this week. I just got back from my honeymoon down in New Orleans, and it wrecked me a little bit.
Yeah.
I drunk
She got
so
a little too
much.
lit.
I got very lit while I was down there. Had a good time, but glad to be home.
Last week you said you would keep an eye out for any vampires. Did
Yeah.
you see any?
I did not, unfortunately. But we went to the Vampire Cafe, and it was such amazing food. Like, girl. Oh, I did get, they have little, like, you can get alcohol there, and they have special, like, blood bags, and they put your drink in these little blood bags. Mine was really good. It was like this pomegranate lemonade, but then they mixed it with vodka, and that was really
that does sound good.
And then Zach got some kind of red wine, but yeah, I drank a lot while I was down there, so I'm taking a break this week.
So she's drinking a Coca-Cola.
I'm drinking a Coca-Cola from, this blend is from
2024, maybe?
in my pantry. All right, so if you guys are ready, let's put this book to rest.
Yes.
Pour yourself a drink, snuggle up in a cozy corner, and get ready to get lit. So this book has been really good so far. There have been lots of twists and turns, but holy crap, we are in for a shit ton of stuff that I didn't see coming. There's so much to this last part of the book, so we'll try to go as fast as we can. Probably should have broken it up into extra episodes, but who cares? This is the finale. And spoiler and trigger warning, there is going to be mention of a sexual assault later in the book. So just take care if you get triggered by stuff like that. We're going to try not to go into too much detail about it. And then I'll also mention it right before we actually do talk about it, so y'all can skip ahead a few minutes if you need to. So, where we stopped off last episode, Patricia was in James's house and had found Francie's body. He had come up into the attic to find her, but then he got pulled away and ran out the door. A few moments later, she hears someone coming back up the stairs. We think it's James Harris, but the door opens and it's Kitty.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
And after Andria kind of ruined it for us,
a little bit.
after Andria ruined it for us last week, we find out that Miss Green had gone to Gracious K, lit it on fire, and then called Kitty to go get Patricia out of the attic.
Thank goodness for Miss Green.
Yes. Thank goodness. She's the real MVP.
Oh, yeah.
And like a lot of this stuff. She knows how to get crap done.
Yeah, she's the take no shit kind of lady.
Exactly. So Patricia realizes that she has to show Kitty the body of Francine, or else people are just going to keep believing she's crazy
Mhm.
and everything. So she does. And then after her initial shock, Kitty tells Patricia, like, okay, well, we can't move this body. Like, this is a crime scene,
Right.
which
Yeah.
good on her.
Yes.
And everything.
It's like we talked about last episode. You do not want to do that.
Yes.
Don't move the body.
Exactly. So she's like, well, we can just leave and like call the police. So they're going to do that. But walking out the door, they look back and realize the house is a complete mess. They had tracked all of the filth from the attic on his stairs. So they got to clean his entire house, basically. Because Patricia knows, like, if he knows that they've been in his house, like, he's going to get rid of that body real fast and everything. So it's going to be too late if they try to go to the police. So they clean his house all the time, freaking out that he's going to return at any moment. And then Patricia has this idea. She's like, well, if I can't take the body, I'm going to take something else.
Right.
So she takes Francine's driver's license. And so they get finished cleaning just in time. They hear a car pull up into the driveway, footsteps coming up the stairs. And as they're running towards the back door, Patricia realizes, I left some paper towels on the counter. And Kitty's like, screw it. Patricia's like, no. So she sprints towards them, puts them back on the holder, and like as they're sprinting out the door, James is walking through the front door. So I was definitely on the edge of my seat.
Yes.
Wow.
I thought they were going to get caught.
Oh,
yes. I definitely
They spent
thought.
so much time cleaning it, which
yeah.
it's good that they did, but
Yeah.
Right.
such a risk.
Mm-hmm. So they make it out, and Patricia's like, hell yeah, we won. I got this driver's license.
Got him
and
dead to rights.
now they have like a little bit of an edge over him. And so the start of the next chapter, Patricia's talking on the phone with Mrs. Green, and they're coming up with a story that Patricia can go to the police. And she's like, the story that she's making up says like, oh, James got drunk at a party and told Patricia that he had fixed Francine because she had stolen money from him, stuffed her body in his attic, and then he would proceed to pull out her driver's license from his wallet to show Patricia, saying like, well, how do you think I got that? So they figured they were going to try to figure out a way to get her license in his wallet so this story would make sense if the police came by.
Mm-hmm.
So then they could just be like, oh, can I see your wallet, sir?
Yeah.
And then he would be like, yeah, why? Be like, it's in here. And everything.
Why do you have this?
Yeah. And then they're like, all right, this is good.
I thought it was a good idea. Not necessarily to slip it in his wallet. That's risky, but to plant it on.
Yeah.
Good idea.
But I did think it was funny, Patricia, in like her fake story to the police, she was like, oh yeah, like he was so drunk he probably doesn't even remember talking about it to me and everything. But there's that. And then that night is Halloween.
Yes.
And they have a little tradition in the old village, which sounds really fun to me, where the moms stay at home and hand out candy. Well, I guess it wouldn't be fun for...
It wouldn't be fun for us.
It wouldn't be fun
women.
for us because we're women. But
Hayden would have a good time.
modern
I had a great time.
modern time, I would want to do this. But the moms stay at home and hand out candy, and then the dads go trick-or-treating with the kids and get progressively drunk throughout the night.
All the moms have whiskey.
Yeah, all of the houses that they stop at, they just top them off with alcohol. But, like, that would be so fun.
Oh, it'd be
to
super
do
fun.
right now.
It would be a community crawl.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, since the kids are older, they don't really want to go out trick-or-treating and everything. But then Blue ends up going out later trick-or-treating as a serial killer, just in a regular outfit, which isn't creepy at all.
I mean, so it's like, because that's an Addams Family, right? Where she's like, I'm a homicidal maniac. They look just like everyone else.
Yeah. I did like that. I mean, it's super creepy that he's doing that, but yeah, it's kind of funny.
Well, I was just like, oh, at least try. I don't know. Just find a costume and you can dress up as Dahmer or Charles Manson. He was more of a cult leader, but
Yeah.
but
then,
he could have done it.
Yeah.
But then right after this happens, she gets a phone call.
Yes. The creepiest phone call ever. So she picks it up, and all she can hear on the other side is just this jumble of words. Someone saying, I didn't make a sound. I didn't make a sound. Just over and over again. And Patricia realizes that it's Slick. So Patricia's still kind of mad at Slick for telling on her to James, but she's also kind of freaked out about Slick's actions right now.
Well, she hasn't spoken to her. She doesn't know that necessarily was Slick. We have an idea.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, we haven't come out and actually Patricia hasn't accused her of anything, but like, you know, she has a speculation.
It's the most likely thing to have happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like, all right. So she rushes over to her house. Finds Slick in the bathtub. Hair's a mess. Like, she's just not looking good.
Also,
clothes torn.
Everyone downstairs is just
playing Monopoly.
Yeah, her family is downstairs. They're just having a grand old time. And Patricia's like, all right, well, I'm going to check on her and everything. So here's where my trigger warning comes into play. If you need to skip ahead a few minutes, go right ahead. So we find out that James Harris broke into Slick's house that night and raped her while her family was downstairs playing games.
Yeah.
And now there's like this nasty black, essentially it's like
ooze,
vampire cum.
Yeah.
Oozing out of her vagina, which is gross, disgusting and everything.
But Patricia's being a good friend and helping her get cleaned up and take care of her.
Yeah.
But this is where it comes into play, where she was repeating over and over, I didn't make a sound, because he said specifically, if you make a sound, I will kill your entire family.
Yes. So, yeah. So, like, yeah, I'm, like, glad that Slick called her, at least, and everything. So, really bad business. But she cleans Slick up, tells Leland that she's sick, which, honestly, I had, like, faith in Leland for a second, because he was like, no, I want to see her. She's sick. Yeah. And then Patricia's like, oh, it's female problems. And he's like, oh.
Gross.
Oh, okay.
Never mind.
I'll leave you to it.
So we get Slick cleaned up, put into bed, and then Slick just tells her all about what we already knew, like actually admitting to calling James about Patricia going into his house. But she was told Patricia that she called him hoping that she could just, like, if she told him that they had all of this dirt on him, it would just scare him into not coming back.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. Because James Harris is like, oh, fuck you. I'm like 4,000 years old. This isn't new to me.
This isn't my first rodeo.
This ain't my first rodeo. She talks about the attack and how, like I said, he had been waiting for her upstairs, got her to the ground, threatened to kill her family if she made a sound. And then after he was done, he made her tell him where the photograph and then the other things were, and he took them. And Slick is just obviously beside herself. She's like apologizing, which is like, nah, girl.
Yeah.
You thought your life was in danger. It's fine. We'll figure out a way to take him down. And Slick is just like, you know, if he's willing to do this to me, then what's he gonna do to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
And then Slick makes some references to pride, her being religious and stuff. And, you know, they're talking about it. And she's like, it was my pride that got in the way. You know, this was like a punishment for my pride.
Thought she could handle it herself. Yeah.
So she says pride goeth, which is from the pride goeth before the fall. Yeah.
The other thing that stuck out to me during this dramatic event is Patricia undressing her and was reminded of a plucked chicken.
A plucked chicken?
As Slick was naked. I thought that was weird.
Real scrawny lady.
She says the way her ribs stuck out, the way her breasts hung lifeless, she reminded Patricia of a plucked chicken. I guess she's just saying, like, the way that she's there and naked and just, like, helpless and lifeless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stuck out to me. I thought it was interesting, that reference.
So she makes, like, promise to go to the hospital in the morning if she's not feeling any better. And then she heads home because she's like, oh, crap. I need to know where my kids are now. So she gets home, and Corey's there, and then Blue walks in a second later and says he's been at James's house.
Jim.
Not only that, he's been with James all night. So, obviously, Patricia's like, you're lying to cover this up. Because it's like, well, if they were actually with each other all night, then he couldn't have gone to attack Slick and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess he's just covering up for James because he has, like, sway over Blue, and, like, they're pretty close and everything. So I guess that's just a little way of him, like, needling his way into the family and everything. But then Blue's like, why are you accusing me of all this? He gets mad, goes upstairs, and then we have a little part where Patricia goes into her room and tries to read the book for book club.
Yeah.
But she just doesn't like it. Like, she misses reading the books that were actually about something. So she pulls out a copy of Helter Skelter and reads it until she falls.
Yeah, because Charles Manson's getting his comeuppance and being sentenced to jail.
Yeah.
And she's like, I gotta know that all bad people don't get away with what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Next thing we know, Slick is in the hospital.
Mm-hmm. And the doctors say that they think it's an autoimmune disease, but it's developing pretty fast.
Yeah.
And Leland, like all the other men in this town, don't want Patricia talking about the diagnosis because he's like, well, there are already rumors going around that it's AIDS. So don't talk about it. I'm just like, all right, bitch. I mean, literally, like, your wife is in the hospital. She's so sick, and you're still worried about appearances.
Yeah.
Like, literally everybody in this town.
People have been talking in church. Can't let that happen.
Yeah.
And they do. If you don't think they gossip in church,
they gossip.
if you've never been to a church, oh, they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know why Slick wasn't in church today?
She has AIDS.
She has the AIDS.
She's in the hospital.
Yeah, she was pale and lethargic and just had fevers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because, like, Patricia's sitting there trying to read to her, like, the book club book. The men are from Mars and women are from Venus. But Slick is like, oh, God, do you have anything else to read?
I'm assuming that was one of the men's pick.
Yeah,
in
that's
the
what
giant group.
That's what they talk about, because, like, Mary Ellen comes in later and she's just like, fuck this book. And everything.
Yeah, she says it's generous to say men are from Mars.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're just talking again about how, like, they hate, like, what the book club has become. Like, they hate all of the books that are being suggested. And then Mary Ellen states that, like, Kitty's acting strange. She won't come out of her house. Everything.
Yeah.
Like, no surprise. Like, she saw Francine's dead body, and now she's creeped the hell out.
She's freaking out. She saw a dead body.
Yeah, like, she doesn't want James to come after her next.
Oh, yeah.
And then, while they're talking, you'll never guess who comes through the front door. James Harris.
Just as Patricia was trying to talk her into letting her friends know what really happened,
Yes.
He walks through that
Yeah,
door.
he can't hurt you here.
Yeah.
Bam!
There he is.
Literally says, he can't get you here. And then he comes through the door. Has the audacity to come face her after what he did to her. And he's asking, like, oh, like, how are you? What happened to you? Like a fuckwad.
I mean, that really solidifies him as a psychopath.
Yes. Yeah, like she is terrified of him and he's just feeding off of it. And it's funny because like no one says a word and it's so awkward.
It's really good of them though because they did stand together in this moment.
Oh yeah.
Like nobody gave way and just let him talk willy-nilly. You know, they supported their friend in that moment.
Yeah. Gave him the cold shoulder. So, but then Mary Ellen breaks it. And she's just like, I think we should just leave and let her get some sleep.
She's had a long day.
Yeah. And then Patricia makes the dumb choice by asking James, can you give me a ride?
So, I mean, yes, it was dumb, but
Yes.
she's doing that to try to plant that driver's license.
I know. I know. But it's still dumb.
But still really dumb.
It wasn't the best of decisions. Yeah. Especially knowing what he's done and what Slick said.
Yeah. So they're driving, and he's like, I'm so glad we can have this time together. And Patricia's just like paranoid, like, oh shit, what does he know? Does he know I was in his house? And then she mentions, like, while they're driving, there's gonna be a fork in the road later. And one goes to the old village and home. And the other one goes into the woods where he could possibly kill her.
Yeah.
She's like, which road is he going to take? Which thankfully is the road towards home. Yeah.
Yes, and this whole time, James is asking her questions like, do they have any idea what's wrong with her? You know, Leland thinks she has AIDS. He's terrified people will find out.
But then James starts spouting out that he knows what's wrong with Slick.
Yep.
He says that it was Leland who got AIDS from all of these women that he would sleep with while going on their like boys trips, and he gave it to Slick.
And of course, James is, you know, claiming he's all innocent. He had no idea until recently that all these men, including Carter and Leland and all the husbands, are out there sleeping with prostitutes, basically.
Yeah. He's like, they're all doing it, but I would never
never do that.
like that. So, yeah, he just drops this bombshell, which, like, we don't actually know 100% if, like, he's lying or not.
Right.
But the fact that we kind of suspect Carter of cheating on Patricia, I mean, it might be true and everything. So Leland got AIDS. And then he tells Patricia that Carter cheated on her too in the same way. So Carter could possibly give her AIDS and everything. And he's just talking like he sees how awful Carter treats Patricia.
Yeah.
And she deserves better. She deserves him.
Yeah, this moment is really tense where you don't know what's going to happen. You know, he could do anything at this moment. He's just willy-nilly. You know, your husband's a piece of shit. You know, you could do better.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got her in a really vulnerable position. But I mean, I don't know. He's kind of asking her to be his vampire queen. I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess, even though he's a douchebag and everything. So, yeah, now he's literally trying to take Carter's place in her marriage, which we all know that Carter is an asshole, but I don't know if he's really worse than James, who is actually, like, killed multiple people. He has, like, hurt so many people and everything. Yeah. So Carter actually seems like a good guy in comparison. In comparison.
He is a neglectful husband, yes.
Yes.
Definitely. And kind of an absent father as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. So Patricia tells James, she's just like, I need time to think it over.
I gotta think if I'm gonna run off with you, baby.
Gets out of his car and then she slips Francine's driver's license beneath his passenger seat. And then the scene, like, it kind of cuts.
Yeah.
And it's that night, and she wakes up in the dark, and she's like, I think I hear something. I'm like, Carter's not home. She's laying there.
Of course, Carter is missing late at night yet again.
Of course.
What's new?
Exactly. And she thinks she hears...
He's in Hilton Head.
Yeah.
He's in Hilton Head?
Yeah, on a drug company trip.
Of course.
Absent husband, absent father, same old, same old.
But she hears movement coming from Corey's room. And she's like, oh, either Corey is sneaking out to see her boy, or a boy is sneaking in to see Corey. So she goes to her room, like, stop it, turns the hall light on, throws open the door, and you can make out 2 naked bodies on Corey's bed.
Yeah.
One is Corey, and the other is James Harris, with his mouth attached to her thigh.
So surprised.
Oh my gosh. Whenever that happened, I was just like, like, no.
I didn't think he would do that. But then again, he was on their roof a few chapters before.
Yeah, which we find out he's been doing.
He's been doing this for a while.
This isn't the first time he's visited Corey.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the time that he was on the roof, he was going after Miss Mary.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Which that was before a time jump as well.
Yeah.
So yes.
Right.
He was staking
when
it
he
out.
was on the roof, he was already feasting on the other girl.
Which they never said anything, but I feel like maybe he did actually feed on Miss Mary. I'm not sure. I'm still hung up on her talking about the owls biting her. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it never says really. Or that she had any, like, marks on her body, so.
Yes, but James Harris is naked, hunched over Corey, who is also naked,
Yeah.
in between her legs. And Patricia grabs a cleat and starts bashing him over the head with it, and it does nothing.
Mm-hmm. Which I actually thought they were, like, having sex at first.
Yeah, I did too.
They mention that he's moving rhythmically.
Yeah, because it said that they were both naked, and I was just like, all right, if you're just sucking her blood, why are both of you naked? Like, can't she just wear shorts?
Yeah.
Like, you can still get access to the thigh if you're wearing, like, a loose pair of shorts. So yeah, I thought they were having sex since they were both naked. But yeah, like, Patricia has to, like, grab a cleat, and she, like, beats him over the head to try to get him to unlatch from Corey's thighs.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it,
yeah,
I kind of wonder if James Harris had a penchant for, like, younger people.
Well,
because
yeah.
he went after all these actual kids,
Yeah.
and sucked on them,
Mhm.
and then
Actual children, yes.
later, I don't want to spoil anything, so, like, but he's basically like, I prefer to munch on Corey instead of you, because she's much younger.
We'll discuss that later.
He's a pedophile.
So yeah, that's what I was like.
Yeah.
It's not
and
explicitly said, but
yeah. And yeah, it does mention that, like, getting your blood sucked is, like, one of the most, like, euphoric feelings.
Yeah. That's why they become addicted to the feeling.
Yeah.
And then they have, like, withdrawals when they don't have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Patricia mentions that later.
Right.
Um.
But essentially, she beats him on the head.
Yes.
It does nothing until finally he, like, pulls away
Mm-hmm.
and just like, you're bothering me. Is how he reacts.
No, he takes her by the throat and, like, slams her against the wall.
Yes.
The first time, though, he does just, like...
He's just annoyed at
You're
first, and then he slams her against the
Okay,
wall.
I was gonna be like, that's not, like, an annoyed reaction.
He's like, you're annoying me. Stop. And then he
Yeah.
goes back. Just like...
Yeah, so there's, like, blood running down his chin. And then he starts gaslighting her by saying things.
Yeah.
He says stuff
This is your
that
fault.
it's her fault. He says, this is all your fault. Look what you're doing to her. And then also, you asked for this and everything.
Yeah.
So,
Look what you're doing to her, he says.
gaslighting. Yeah, because, like, once he, like, this attaches to her, Corey starts in the fetal position, and she's just looks like she's in agony basically.
I feel like it almost looks like she's having a seizure.
Yeah. So that's why he's like, oh, this is your fault.
You stopped me.
He said you stopped me.
I'm the only one that can make it stop.
And then Blue is in the hall.
And then Blue is there, and he's like, oh, what's going on?
Mom?
It's like, that's not really important. And she's just like, oh, your sister's just sick. Go away.
Bye.
So
get out of here.
Yeah. So James leaves out the window, and Patricia's frantic because now it's like she can't save her kids from James, and she just feels helpless. She's looking at her daughter's body, and she sees the bruises and realizes that this has been going on for a long time now. So just that helplessness of, she didn't know that this was going on at all. No. And she's just like, oh, God, I can't even save my children from him.
How could I be so naive?
Yeah, exactly. And then the next morning she gets a phone call from James, and he's all like, it wasn't what it looked like. I have to explain what was going on. You see, it's my condition.
I have to self-dialysis through other people.
God. Yes.
She told me I could do it to her.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Which doesn't make any sense.
No.
No, bitch. I don't want to hear your lies. I totally believe that Corey, who was a teenager, would agree to be in bed naked with a 40-year-old man. Yeah. Because that's just what I'm kind of assuming he's portraying himself as. And he asks her for forgiveness and just reiterates again that he basically just wants her family. And Patricia knows that he won't stop. He's found a host in them and can just bleed them dry, and he won't stop until they're all dead. So, and then he says, oh, and the darndest thing happened. I found Francine's driver's license under my passenger seat. Good thing I disposed of that, or that would have been real hard to explain. For Christ's sake, they can't catch a break.
No, she must have felt so defeated in that moment.
Literally, he just seems to be one step ahead of everything that they try to do.
And then he goes on and he doubles down and he says, I care for you.
Yeah.
I care for your family.
Mm-hmm.
No.
No. Your actions say otherwise.
Yeah.
So Patricia's just I can't do this alone anymore. So she calls up her crew. Yes. So
with Miss Green in tow.
With Miss Green.
Thank goodness for Miss Green.
Yeah, so they get all of the original book club members plus Miss Green, and Patricia just comes out and apologizes for what she was saying about James 3 years ago. And she's like, I lied to you guys. I'm sorry. He's not a drug dealer, but he's a vampire. And they're all just like, oh, what the fuck? No, you're even more crazy. But then Slick's able to tell them about the photograph and the other clippings that Patricia had given her. She told them what James did to her. Patricia tells the rest of them that her and Miss Green went into his house and how they had found Francine's body and how she had shown it to Kitty. And Kitty acknowledges this and everything. She says, it was a body and everything. Patricia shows them pictures of what he was doing to Corey, just all the bruises on her thighs and everything. And basically she's just telling them that hey, he's coming after our children now and everything. But Grace doesn't really believe her, doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. Mm-hmm. So she tries to leave, but Miss Green gets on to her.
I love this part with Miss Green.
Yeah, because she's like, you didn't stick up for the kids in 6 Mile.
Do you think I'm trash?
Yeah. Like,
oh yeah,
this is coming to bite you in the butt now. He's coming for your kids. But yeah, Mrs. Green is on it.
Yeah, I love that moment where Miss Green was really standing up to her.
Mm-hmm.
And Grace just, I sort of understand where she's coming from as well, but you need to like stand by your friends.
Yeah.
If your friend tells you some crazy shit, go see it through.
But yeah, so like Grace still is just like, I don't want anything to do about this and everything. So she leaves. So they're trying to figure out what to do since Mary Ellen's like, well, we're just a book club and everything. And then Slick has this such redeeming little monologue, and I love what she says. She goes, he thinks we're what we look on the outside. Nice Southern ladies. Let me tell you something. There's nothing nice about Southern ladies. And
right.
Just like, yes, all the yes. Like, I am, like, Slick is actually a bad bitch. now and everything. So I love her. And just like skipping a little part, they're like talking about how they're gonna try to kill him and everything, like stakes and all the normal stuff about vampires and everything. And then Patricia lets them know that basically his one weakness is that he's alone.
Yeah.
And he wants her. And she's like, all right, if he wants me,
go ahead.
That's what I'm gonna give him and everything. So the next morning, we see Patricia and Carter are sending Corey to a substance abuse treatment center to get her out of town, away from James. And Corey is just like so out of it that Carter believes Patricia when she tells him she's on drugs. And he just goes, she gets it from your side of the family.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe he said that.
Like, bitch.
My family never had any issues like this.
Yeah. Like,
why would you say that?
Because he's the worst.
Yeah. He just keeps digging himself a hole and everything. But yeah, Patricia doesn't want, like, she doesn't know what to do. She knows that the other kids have a track record of killing themselves.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want that to happen to Corey.
Right.
So now she's on 24-hour surveillance.
I will say that really quickly before we keep going.
Yeah.
Where we were just talking about, this comes from your side of the family.
Yeah.
I love Patricia's response. In her mind, she thought this, but she says, no, they just murdered a man and buried his body in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a back at you. I wish she would have said it to his face.
Yeah. And then after that, we get another call from James, and he's like, where's Corey? So I'm just like, does he have like a sixth sense or something? Because he knows
like
she's
when his
gone.
Food sources
Yes.
away.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I don't know if like someone told him that she was gone, or if he was like, I can sense that she's gone. I don't know.
Yeah, so he gives her till the end of the month to make her she asked for the end of the month. He says, I'll give you 10 days to decide.
10 days.
She's trying to drag it out a little bit because she wants a specific day.
Right.
The football game.
Oh, yeah. I had to think about that. I was like, wait, like
the
what specific day?
Football
the big
game.
football game that's going to have everyone preoccupied.
Yes. So, yeah, they're kind of just going around for a couple of days now. Like, Corey is gone, and Blue is distant from her, even though she's, like, trying to connect with him and everything. So then, yeah, the football game comes. Clemson versus Carolina. And Carter and Patricia were going to go and everything, but Patricia's like, I'm going to, like, sit this one out and everything. Like, I'm sad that Corey's gone, so I just want to stay home.
And Carter says, I love you.
Yeah.
Carter says, I love you, which surprises her.
She forces herself to say, I love you too.
Yes, she forces herself. Yeah, it's like she said that it was the first time in a couple years at this point that he had actually said it.
That's crazy.
And everything. So she was like, love you too, and everything, which I don't know what that's like.
And as soon as he leaves, she starts dressing
I feel
up.
bad if I don't say I love you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just, I
say it
feel
multiple
that
times a
now.
day.
I was just saying, like, past relationships, I'm just like, sure, I love you and everything.
Yeah,
Whatever.
That's true.
So after Carter leaves, she gets all dolled up, little sexy black dress, does her hair and makeup. And James calls her. He's like, all right, what's your decision? She's just like, you know what? You're right. I want to see you. I made my decision and I'm coming to your house.
I choose you.
I'll be at your place by 6:30.
So we are going to his house.
We're gonna seduce the vampire.
We're gonna seduce the vampire. So she goes over there, just like walking over and everything. And it's all dark. And she's like, I can't let anyone see me and everything.
He also doesn't want anybody to see her.
Yeah. Don't want anyone to see her. She goes over there and she's basically just like, you've hurt me and my daughter and turned my son against me. But god damn if you don't make me feel things I've never felt in the past 25 years of my marriage.
And then she gets laughed at.
Oh my god, this part.
What are you, a fool?
You're
play
an
me
idiot,
for a
Patricia.
fool?
Yes. So she's like doing all this, trying to be sultry and sexy. She's like, do to me what you did to my daughter, make me like you and everything. And then James just straight up laughs in her face. He's like, he says, you come here looking like a hooker, saying you want to become me, but I'm not stupid. And then he basically just starts talking about, like, he's known everything about what she's done to try to stop him. Mm-hmm. He's, like, one step ahead of her and all this stuff. Talking about how, like, it was so easy to come into town and just get everyone on his side and that everyone believes he, like, is who he says he is and everything.
He has a huge ego, but he's had a lot of time to build it up.
He does.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he's like, you can never stop me. Like, I'm going to come after you, and then your daughter, and then your son. And then Patricia just, like, breaks down. And she's like, oh, God, you're right. I'm nothing. My marriage is a sham. Like, I didn't want to, like, believe what was happening, like, with Carter, like, all those phone calls, like, at night, him being away so much, and, like, my kids hate me, so, like, I'm here, basically, like, begging for you to spare my kids and take me instead.
Yeah.
So, he kind of just, like, agrees, but he's like, all right, I'm gonna take Carter's place in your family, and if you give me your body, then Blue and Corey only have another year of freedom.
Yes.
But after that, I'm taking them too.
After I'm done with you,
you buy them a year.
I know, and I'm just like, that's not really a lot of time, but whatever. So she's like, all right. So he has her go into his bedroom, and they're going to get naked. But before she follows him into the bedroom, she discreetly walks over to the front door and bolts it. So she goes, lays on the bed, and she's naked, and he's shirtless. And he leans down and attaches himself to her thigh. And it says, it was the most pain she's ever felt, followed by the greatest pleasure. And then we skip to Kitty, Mary Ellen, and Miss Green, who are waiting in this car down the street. And they had been watching Patricia as she was going into James's house.
Mm-hmm.
And they had set a time of when Patricia said that they should all come in. So,
this part was funny.
yeah, so
this is great.
So after waiting the designated time, they get out and they've got like their little bags full of stuff. weapons to take him down and everything. And then while they're making their way to his front door, they just randomly start talking about Christmas.
I love the reaction from Miss Green the second they
She's like, Christmas.
Yeah.
I love Christmas.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I love Christmas.
But Kitty's just like nervous talking.
Yeah.
I like to get my gifts during the after Thanksgiving sales.
Yeah, she's just like randomly talking about
I start
gifts.
planning in August, but the big stuff is
And Mary Ellen's just like, what the heck are you talking about? She goes, I
don't know. I'm just nervous. But yeah, so they get to his door and are able to sneak inside since Patricia left the door unlocked. Mm-hmm. And they go upstairs into the bedroom and see Patricia with James crouched over her. Yes.
Naked.
Then, yeah. And it takes them by surprise for a second. But then after the initial surprise wears off, Kitty just takes one swing, 2 swings with a bat that she brought. And James finally detaches from Patricia, turns on them. There's blood going everywhere.
Yeah. He's pissed.
He is pissed off.
Yeah, she beats the shit out of him with a baseball bat, and it seems to not do much.
Oh yeah, it's just a thunk and everything.
He barely moves.
Yeah, exactly. And then at that point, it's just pandemonium is going on.
Yeah, this is chaos after that.
Yeah, they're all trying to get him down essentially. They kind of take turns going after him with their weapons, but they're all pretty scared still and everything by what they just saw, and he's kind of got the upper hand. He's stronger than them. Yeah. And then they also interrupted his feeding, so he's super pissed off and everything. But finally, Kitty is able to slam into his back and send him to the floor.
Kitty was the hero in this moment, for
Kitty
sure.
was the hero in this moment.
She put all of her weight on him and held him down.
Yeah. Well, Mary Ellen is over there just standing. She's
pissing herself.
Pissed herself and everything, which I probably would too if that was the first time I was seeing something like that. I'm not going to lie. I probably would too. So, yeah. So Kitty's on his back. They take a knife and they sever his spinal cord from his brain. So he's still alive, but he can't
move his limbs.
Yeah, he's incapacitated.
He's paralyzed for the moment, but he does say that he is healing all at the same time.
He can regenerate.
Yeah. It seems like he has some kind of healing power, which is
yeah. Because obviously he's not a traditional vampire. He's got the appendage out of his mouth.
Yeah, he is a different kind of vampire.
He claims he doesn't drink the blood. He has to dilate it.
That's bullshit.
Or dialysis, I mean.
I think he just made that up.
I think he did too, yeah.
So they go back into the other room, and Patricia isn't breathing.
Yeah.
So she lost a lot of blood from the wound in her leg.
From it, I think it was mostly from it being ripped out.
Yeah. He kind of he ripped it out of her and everything. So there's blood just gushing out of it and everything. But Mrs. Green gives her CPR, and she kind of stabilizes. So while Mary Ellen is taking care of Patricia, Kitty and Miss Green start working on James.
He's pinned to the ground. He says, "You bitches haven't even slowed me down."
Yeah, sure. Which it's really funny because they start cutting him into pieces, and they're planning on separating his limbs and organs into different trash bags. But he's not dead yet, so he's just talking away,
yapping
and everything.
The best part for me was whenever they start putting up these diagrams of how to clean a deer. Yeah. He's like, "You're not going to do that to me, are you?"
Yeah. What? Please don't.
He says he's a masterpiece.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so rare. You shouldn't do this to me.
Yeah. He's like, do you really want to do this? I could give you eternal life. And then also stuff you'll never get away with it. And he mentions the Wide Smiles Club.
I wanted to bring that up. What the hell is that?
I don't know, because it's like, all right, it could obviously be like a little secret vampire organization, or it just could be another like bullshit story he's telling, because this is literally the first time we're hearing about this and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might be telling the truth in this moment.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. I really don't know, because obviously, it seems like he feels pain as they're cutting him up, but somehow, as they're cutting him and removing organs, and they'll cut off his arm keeps moving in the flashback.
Yeah, so, yeah, even though he's being, like, cut up and everything, his limbs are, like, still moving and everything. But then they finish it by severing his head from his body. And then it says that they nail 2 20-penny nails into his eyes. So that kind of seems to, like, stop his talking at least.
Yeah.
But then they said that, like, they put all his, like, body parts into the bags, but they look at the bags and they're still moving. So, yeah, he's, like, not really dead or anything, but
right.
At least they got him to shut up.
I thought it was interesting in this moment, too, before they shut him up.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to know where Mrs. Green's children are.
Yeah, he does ask her about that.
How are your boys?
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to pay them a visit when they're...
Yes.
Which, I mean, I guess part of it could just be, like, from, like, talking to people around town.
Yeah, everyone seems to love him for some reason.
Yeah.
But it's mostly just the money.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly the money and him having that charming personality.
Yeah.
But they gut him, they pack his organs and entrails in different bags, and they look around and it's a bloodbath.
Yep.
They're like, they brought tarps and everything to try to keep the blood to a minimum.
Didn't do shit.
They're trailing like blood on their shoes. Or they're not wearing shoes, their feet. They took their shoes off before they came in. But
all of a sudden, doorbell rings.
And they're like, oh God, don't answer.
Oh shit.
Don't go away.
And it doesn't stop ringing.
Uh-huh.
So they look at who is the least bloody, which happens to be...
I think it's Kitty.
It was Kitty.
Yeah.
Kitty was the least bloody because she couldn't handle the dismemberment.
Kitty did have a black eye.
Yeah.
From being slammed against the wall.
Yes.
Hairs.
But she goes down and answers the door.
And it's Grace.
Thank God
To the
Grace showed
rescue.
up. Somebody who can form a plan really quickly.
Yes.
She's like, we're going to do this, and then this, and this.
Yeah, so she comes to her senses, comes to help, and then she literally, like, takes in the scene. She's like, oh, shit. But then she's like, delegating. She's like, all right.
She starts seeing that he actually is a monster.
Oh, yeah.
And she's going to take care of
So
it.
she's like, I can see those bags moving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything. So they decide.
And didn't
Yeah.
Miss Green say, we got his head in the toilet?
Got his head in the toilet?
I thought she said something along those lines.
She might have just been referring to
I think she said,
it
go
as-
look in the bathroom or something.
Okay, it may have been something like that. I could have swore. Oh, yeah. Miss Green, no. We'll find it. Which, of course, all this will be.
If you have doubts, you need to see he's in the upstairs toilet, which is just
Okay,
another...
that's just a reference
He's
to
not
that.
in
Okay.
the toilet.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
like, I feel like she was just referring to, like, oh, he's in the bathroom.
Okay, yeah. For some reason, I was thinking she actually meant, like, she put his head in the toilet.
We're giving
Which would
him
be
a
really
swirly.
funny.
We're giving him a swirly. No.
Don't cut that. We're keeping it in.
So they start deciding on what they're going to do with his body. And at first they were going to take it to this one place to get it, like, burned up with some medical waste and everything. But I guess there would be, like, people, like, overseeing
Right.
that. And then they were just like, well, we can't take this to this place with all of the bags moving and
Yeah.
everything. Like, they're gonna, like, want to open them up and see what's inside. So Grace kind of says, like, well, me and my husband have these plots in the cemetery that we're gonna hold our urns, but I guess we can, use it for this instead, and I guess we're just gonna figure it out later before we die and everything.
Yeah.
So specifically, it's called a columbarium niche.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
So it's like those things at the cemetery that are kind of like a shelf.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I guess they are going to be cremated and just put their ashes in.
And you can like.
And he's in there?
Well, that's where they're going to put him.
Yeah, that's where they're going to put him. But yeah, you can like open it up and like place an urn in there.
Okay.
And everything.
Cool.
I know. I didn't know what it was.
I had no idea. I didn't look it up because I thought you did, Andrea.
I did.
Okay, yeah. You looked it up, so I knew I wouldn't have to.
So they just kind of decide, we're going to put him in here. And then, since the place is like a wreck, Grace and Miss Green get started cleaning up the entire
Miss Green
house.
is so freaking tired already.
Yes. Mrs.
I mean, she just spent a lot of time cutting a man
Yeah.
up. That takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, Mrs. Green did the majority of like cutting him up, so she's
It took
already.
at least what, a football game's like 4 hours, 3 hours.
Well, the game was already on, but I imagine they probably spent at least an hour cutting this man up.
Oh yeah, I'd say longer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Probably.
because all they had was a hunting knife, and they were just
They had multiple hunting
They had
knives.
multiple. Yeah, it talks about like when one got dull, they like
Just
switched
tossed
it
it
out
in
with
there.
them and everything. So they definitely came prepared.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
So they start cleaning up the entire house. It's a bloodbath. The other ladies go to dispose of the body and everything. And they're like, they gotta hurry too because like the game is almost over and everything. And they're like, once it's over, like everyone's gonna start like flooding the streets and everything. And they don't want to be seen.
right.
So they get it cleaned up. The ladies call and say that his remains are in the plots. And Grace takes Patricia to her house. And she just kind of like stays with her until the morning. Like Patricia finally wakes up and everything. Gets sick, obviously.
Yeah,
And then she
That
just
was
kind of like stays with her until the morning.
yeah. Grace holds her.
Yeah, reading to her. And it's nice because they like become friends again.
Yeah.
After the whole ordeal all those years ago. So Patricia just like stays sick for a couple days. She like has a fever and everything. And then she mentions it might have been a fever dream, but
Yeah,
she
Miss
sees
Mary
Miss
comes
Mary for the last time. And Patricia just says like she was there in bed and she feels someone like just like stroking her cheek and everything. And Patricia is like too like tired to like actually look up like at her
Right.
face, but she like recognizes like her like
Shoes,
her
yeah.
shoes and her skirt and everything. And Patricia just like states how like Miss
Yeah.
Mary didn't come back from the dead to warn Carter. Like she came back to warn Patricia
Yeah.
and everything, which kind of says a lot about how Miss Mary like really did love her
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Carter's just kind of an ass.
Yeah, we all know that.
Yeah, and
It's not surprising.
his assery is not over.
It's not over at all because Carter comes in
The second she's awake.
Yeah,
and tells her that like, well, since James is gone,
we're losing it,
we're
Patricia.
losing all of our money.
Do you know where James is? You know where James is, don't you?
Yeah, he literally starts accusing her once because he tells her like, Gracious K, like we're losing all the money,
Yeah.
and Patricia's not upset about it.
No.
So
She's like, I want to talk about bringing Corey home. And he's like, a man is missing.
yeah, and Patricia's like, I don't give a shit. So yeah, Carter thinks that she knows where James is, accuses her of messing everything up for them.
Okay.
And Patricia just coolly responds to that with I want a divorce.
Yes!
Which finally,
Cheered. Everybody cheered.
it's about time. And then
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later, she goes to see Slick, and she's still really sick.
Getting
At
worse.
this point, getting worse. And before they had actually cut off James's head, he had said something really cryptic about Slick.
Yeah.
wait till you see what happens.
Yes, basically,
I
think
her
I have
present.
Yes, he says, I left you all a present when she gets ripe.
Yeah,
so
that doesn't sound good.
Patricia tells her that unfortunately she's not going to get better. After James had attacked her, she started slowly turning. So when she inevitably dies soon, she's going to turn into a vampire. Like, she doesn't sugarcoat it at all. She's just like, Slick has basically been with her like the entire time. Yeah. Like, they did have a little hiccup whenever she like told on Patricia and everything, but she's just like, I can't lie to her and tell her that she's going to get better.
We find out in this moment it's not actually Slick that's going to change. She's carrying something.
Yeah, Slick mentions that she feels something growing in her neck and that it's waiting for her to die.
Yes, it's going to wait for her to die to hatch.
Mm-hmm. So it's like that little thing that James Harris had, like, I don't even know what you would call it. Mm-hmm. The little sucker thing that was in his throat.
Oh, it said in her throat?
Yeah.
Oh.
You thought it was a baby?
I did. I thought she would die and something would grow out of her.
Like an alien.
But okay, I'm sorry, I misread. Yes, like an alien.
Yeah.
I misread then. So she was changing.
Yeah, so yeah, the exact quote is, I feel something growing inside, Slick said. It's waiting for me to die, and then it hatches. She put a hand to the base of her throat.
Oh.
Here, she said, something new, hard to swallow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I misread that.
Yeah, so it's basically like once she dies, she's going to be turning into whatever James Harris was.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which I guess is what happened to Miss Savage, right? Because she...
I don't think
she
so.
Didn't
because
have an appendage?
She had bite marks on her leg. And he would have had to have slept with her for that to happen. And I don't think that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, she went feral, but I think that's just because she went crazy.
Yeah.
Like the kids did where they killed themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was probably
so it. He was seducing
and
Savage.
So probably. Yeah, but yeah, because if she was a vampire, well, we never found out if she was like cremated or not, so I guess we don't really know, but I feel like if she was actually a vampire, she would still be around.
Well, Slick did want to change her will.
Yeah.
She's like, cremate me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that other lady, Savage, we don't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'd say she probably just went crazy like all the other kids and everything.
Yeah.
So Slick asked Patricia to send her lawyer because she wants to be cremated now instead of buried, so she doesn't come back as a vampire. And then she dies on Thanksgiving.
And in this moment as well, we realize that Ragtag is dying.
My god!
Yes.
Ragtag has a tumor.
Right after she...
I know. He has a brain tumor.
This hits a little close to home because my childhood dog ended up dying of a brain tumor.
Aww.
And I was with him when he died.
Aww,
I held him as he took his last breath.
Yeah.
It hits a little close to home. But it happens. It happens.
Yeah, so Ragtag ends up dying, but he's surrounded by Blue and Corey and everything, and they're just all sleeping on the couch together, and Patricia walks down and realizes that he's dead.
And on top of all this, while this is happening, I want to go back a little bit to the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Carter decides he has to take control, tell the kids how things are going to be.
Yeah, so that's actually at the end of this chapter.
Yes, and he decides to say, all right, well, who would you like to live with? Mom.
Yes.
Yeah, he tries to paint her as this terrible choice.
Y'all won't have a car because she has to use it. I'm keeping the houses.
Yes. I was literally getting...
I'm paying for your school and your college.
Okay, sorry. That was after, not before.
You're good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so Carter and Patricia tell the kids that they're getting divorced, and Carter, like you said, makes Patricia come out as the bad person because he's like, well, this was her decision, so like she's gonna like have to like leave the house. She might have to like leave like the city and everything. So so he's trying to get Corey and Blue to turn against her. And he's like, who do you want to live with? Mom. Which is like, yeah, because Carter never did anything for them.
This reinforces that he was never there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm sure that whole incident with Ragtag, they realized, where's their dad? Because, like, he's not here at all comforting them. Like, this is their family dog they've had for years.
Yeah. He lost his promotion and the excuse to work late, yet he still did it.
Yeah.
He still worked late. He still went out of town. Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But like you said, Andrea, whenever Ragtag was sick and everything, Patricia was just going to be like, all right, like, it's just like me and Blue. But like, Blue was like insistent. He's like, no, we have to get Corey out of rehab to be here. Yeah. Like, whenever he dies and everything. So yeah, that says a lot. If it's like he's so insistent that like Corey has to be there, but it's just like, all right, but like Dad doesn't have to be here and everything. Because he wasn't part of their lives at all.
There are years that went by where he was absent.
Mm-hmm. So justice is served.
Yay!
So, and also, like, freaking asshole. Like, after they say that they want to live with Patricia, Carter doesn't give them the house.
No.
He makes them find an apartment to live in where it's like Patricia and Corey have to sleep in a bed together and then Blue's just sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, here's the thing. They have two houses. They have
he's keeping both.
House and then they have a beach house. So like the right thing to do would be to let them stay at Pirates Cruise until maybe Corey graduates or Blue graduates. Yeah. And then they could find a new place. But he's like, no, I'm keeping both of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm keeping both houses, but I'll pay for your schooling.
Yeah.
You have no place to go.
So, yeah, literally just a final, like, fuck you to his family. And then the last chapter.
Grace comes in.
Yeah. We can tie that back in because they go have Christmas with Grace, and it's just like, oh yeah, Carter is spending Christmas alone.
Yep.
Well, I guess he has his floozies and everything.
But of course.
Floozies.
Anyways. And Grace gives her some money so that she's able to give the kids a good Christmas, and then she can finally put like a down payment on a place for them to live in, which was super nice and everything. So the last chapter, we kind of just like we're wrapping everything up and everything. They talk about like everyone talking about James leaving and everything, and everyone's broke, and they blamed James's leaving on the fact that he like saw it coming and everything and had to skip town. And then the book says like some white people lost some money, and black people lost their homes. And that was just how it went.
Yep.
So everyone just like starts picking up the pieces. It says some people start moving back to 6 Mile.
Yeah.
Mrs. Green left to go be with her kids and everything. And then the last scenes are showing Patricia. She's going to Slick's grave where she leaves a book and a glass of wine and everything. She walks over to the little cemetery plots that held James's remains, puts her ear up next to them, and she can hear it. Still hear his body parts moving around, trying to get out.
Searching through the darkness.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Final thoughts about the book.
I thought it was great. I do like that he wasn't a traditional vampire.
Yeah.
We don't know what he was.
Yeah.
And I find it odd that he's still kind of alive, even though he's dismembered.
Yeah. That's definitely new.
That's new, right. Yes, for sure. The Wide Smiles Club. I have questions about that.
You too?
Overall, though, I really enjoyed the book. I do hate that Slick died because she was one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. But I like that the group is still together and still having their book club. Yeah. Even after all of that.
Yeah, they got back together. I don't know if it says what book they're reading.
The book they're reading next.
Oh, is it the In Cold Blood?
That was the book she left on Slick's grave.
Yeah, that was the book she left on the grave. So I didn't know if it was like that's what they were reading. Grace starts like whenever Grace is taking care of Patricia after she wakes up, she starts reading In Cold Blood to her. Mm-hmm. So I almost feel like that's what.
Did you read the back? The last few pages were just like extra. So the author, Mr. Hendrix, he puts in some little things. He even has a little guide for book clubs. Oh, yeah. And he's like questions on there if you want to look at those to guide your book club discussion.
Nice.
And then
they did not read.
They have little what's it called? Kind of newsletters from the different book clubs. So like the one that the first Marjorie did, which is cringy. Then there's one where Grace takes over the book club, and they list the books that they're going to be reading for the year. So it looks like, I think, so in 1993, which I don't know what year this is. I think this is when they changed over to a murder book club. Mm-hmm. So it shows you all the books they read that year. Mm-hmm.
Roughly the early 90s, I believe.
Yeah, that's when Grace took it over. There's also a letter from Kitty writing to her daughter, and she does that apparently every year because her grandmother used to do it. They write a letter every year telling you what happened that year. So she wrote about that. And then there's some like little allusions back to what was happening in the book, what we were reading. Like Kitty got sick around the holidays. So is 1993 when they killed James Harris, or is that?
No, they killed James Harris in the late 90s.
Okay, late 90s. Okay, so this is before. And yeah, she just talks about the Campbells are having difficulties, but I love her as well. She's the best. And then Grady Hendrix is a crime junkie, so he provides you a list of books to read if you're into true crime. And there's also a little map of the town, which is exactly how I pictured it in my head. It's really small.
Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this book, though. I was a little uncertain about it. And based on the cover art, I was mostly uncertain about it. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of the cover art.
Is it the peaches?
Yeah. I don't understand it because they're not in Georgia.
We only had one reference to peaches.
Well, the peach tree, right?
Yeah, it was making reference to the peach tree that they had buried that African-American guy under, like, the first time that James came into town.
And Miss Mary wouldn't eat from the peach tree.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the only reference to it?
Yep, pretty much. Sorry
for the artist who did this. Cover art by Liz Wheaton, cover design by Andy Reid. Sorry, I don't like it.
It's still
dang.
Though. It's cute,
That's how you really feel.
Yeah, I don't know if they have peaches and stuff.
I think peaches are synonymous with Georgia, but we're getting off topic. Yeah. Let's move on.
They're with the South.
Yeah. And it's reaching. That's reaching.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just going back to looking at the map and everything, I was not expecting it to look like that.
Oh, I was. That's exactly what I pictured.
I was thinking more of like a cul-de-sac, honestly.
Really?
Well, that's where Campbell and the Kavanaughs live. They live in that little circle. So Pirates Cruise circle. Yeah.
It's somewhat similar to what I was thinking, but I didn't imagine them actually that close to the harbor. I always imagine them like up on top of a hill overlooking this, ocean view town. So it's a little different from
which is why they start seeing rats, or at least they think they're coming from the harbor.
The marsh rats, yes. But, I thought that might be like a little swampy area behind the home. So it's a little different from what I was thinking.
I was just thinking like a regular suburb, and it's like we're living in a cul-de-sac, and like James's house is like on the like furthest side of the cul-de-sac.
They're that close.
I
to
thought they were.
Yeah,
I thought they were that close.
I did too. I was thinking of Patricia's house and then his like 4 houses down, like around the corner.
Exactly, because like the very first part, like whenever he's up on the roof and everything, like he says that he comes over because he saw their lights on. But if he's all the way down the street, like what the hell are you doing?
You have to really be looking at their house.
Yeah, it's like
he's preying on them 100%.
That's what made me think that like he was right next to them and everything. But no, it's like the Clarks, and then
he's like a block.
Grace's house is like
he's like a
block
block.
Yeah. So you got no reason to be there. What are you doing here? But anyways, thank you, Grady Hendrix, for this nice book. Yep.
Absolutely. What made you choose this book?
I had just seen it a couple years ago, and it just sounded interesting. See, I like the cover art and everything. I think it's really cute and everything. With the peach, with the little like vampire fangs, and there's like blood / peach juice coming from it. So I thought it looked really cute. Which
inaccurate. There are no fangs.
Yes,
there are no fangs, but it gets the point across.
Yes, and it holds the title with it as well.
Yeah.
If I had, I'll be honest. I've not read any other of Grady Hendrix's work. I've seen them at the bookstore.
So he wrote that. Also, he wrote the horror store IKEA book.
Yes, and my best friend's Exorcism. He also wrote, which I've seen all of these in the store.
It's
I've
like
not
an
read
IKEA
them.
catalog, but it's supposed to be.
Well, I haven't heard of
spooky.
that one.
Yeah, he's written a few things that I've seen around.
Yeah, me too.
His covers have always caught my eye.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This one being my least favorite. But overall, I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was a good read.
The book was really entertaining.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was
easy to read.
It was completely entertaining. I never really had a dull moment in it.
Yeah. I hope y'all felt the same way, or
Thank you for the recommendation.
If you didn't, then let us know what you hated about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next subject, should we move on to our usual, or should we talk about what we're going to read for next month? Save that for later, maybe?
We can go ahead and talk about it.
We're at 1 hour and 18 right now.
Oh, yeah.
We're good on time.
We've skipped over a lot of details.
We didn't do any quotes.
Yes, this is more. Yeah, there's a lot that happened, but we're going through it.
Yeah, since there was so much stuff that happened.
There's a lot that happened.
It was action-packed
with so much stuff and everything.
And of course, if you're listening to this, hopefully you've already read through it.
You know, what I am anxious to hear.
I would hope so.
What I'm anxious to hear about is your reading of Little Tree.
Okay, we're going to talk about the education of Little Tree. We'll get on to the subject of what we've all been reading.
Yeah.
I said last week, I guarantee it. This time, I'm reading the education of Little Tree. And you know what? I didn't do it. And I'll be honest, this is the second week in a row. I didn't read my chapters for Grady Hendrix's book until the day of. I'm doing my best out there, okay? Maybe next episode we'll get a little bit of an introduction to the education of Little Tree, but we'll see what happens.
Don't even say that. You're just giving us.
You're giving everybody false hope.
3 weeks of false hope? I would never.
There's like an enthusiast listening, like, oh God, I can't wait.
I can't wait to talk about the education
You're making
of
them
Little
wait.
Tree.
Those of you out there waiting for Forrest Carter's The Education of Little Tree, listen to me. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's going to happen. I will read this entire book probably in like a week. It will happen.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Tune in next time.
I'm going to start a poll. Will Hayden read The Education of Little Tree for
My money's on I'm going to read it.
He's going to be the only vote for you.
I am going to be on vacation, so you will have no distraction.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm going to take off some time from work, so I should have plenty of time to read it. Will I?
No.
Tune in next time.
You have all this time off work and you just don't.
I do things.
Well, since I was enjoying myself on my honeymoon last week, I didn't read anything else this week.
No,
So.
neither did I.
Nobody read anything else this week?
I'm sorry.
We did. We were very busy this past week, so none of us read anything extra. But do we have any shout outs?
No shout outs this week. But if you would like to be a shout out on the next episode, we can read your story, a part of your story, or we could promote one of your books that you've published. You can do that by submitting a request to our Gmail account. It's onelitpod@gmail.com, onelitpod@gmail.com. If you are not sure about your writing, or if it's like a fan fiction and you're like, I don't know about this, you can submit that to us. Just you don't want anybody to know your name, just remain anonymous.
And moving on from that, has anybody written anything lately that they would like to share?
Don't look at me.
I did buy Andria a new journal to write in as an anniversary gift. It's our third year. So the gift was for leather. I bought her a spooky leather-bound journal with a skull on it.
Ooh, nice.
It's very cool.
So my thing with journals. No, I love a journal.
Like, she's got to bash this gift.
No, the thing with journals is...
It was a good gift, wasn't it?
Yes.
All right, we've got that down,
I am
y'all.
a bit
It's
of a
good gift.
perfectionist when it comes to writing. So I will probably not draft in the journal.
Mm-hmm.
I will draft on my phone, and then I will go back and rewrite in the journal.
Yeah.
All pretty.
You know, I would prefer to see your thought process in that journal if you were ever to share it with me. I would love to see where your head's at, where it begins, all the edits that you make.
Yeah, it just writes the
So I should read my dream.
If you wanted to,
Because that is my thought process, and it's bumpy.
If you wanted to write down a dream, if you wanted to draw a picture, if you wanted to write a short story, if you wanted to write it as a daily journal, I mean, that's entirely up to you, and I would love to read any of it.
So Olivia knows, because when I was documenting my dreams,
she has weird dreams, y'all.
I would type them in my phone, like, as soon as I wake up, because I knew I was going to forget.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm groggily typing at, like...
Yeah, it's like stream of consciousness
5 a.m.
writing, essentially.
Putting down what's happening, and then I go back and read it when I wake up a few hours later. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
No, it's mostly insane.
But they're so funny.
Yeah, there's some stories that she's told me. It's pretty insane. And, you know, maybe we'll release a special episode where we tell some of her craziest dreams. I mean, she's told me a couple of them, and they are nuts.
I'm all up for Andria's dream corner.
But should I read it like I wrote it?
Yes.
I think that makes it special.
Yes.
Oh, man.
You're like, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
So
I'm watching her scroll through this, and it just keeps going.
Okay, this isn't all my dreams.
Oh my god, there's
this
so
is like
many.
random notes that I've abandoned.
There are so many.
Dreamed.
I can read our literary news if you want to take some
Let's
time.
go ahead and take some time.
Skip
and
to the literary news.
Okay.
Let's get on to the literary news.
Well, Andria finds one of her batshit crazy dreams to share.
Which you don't have to, if you don't want to.
It's just gonna be bumpy, y'all.
That's all right.
It ain't flushed out.
That's all right.
I don't think anyone expects
It's
it
gonna
to
be
fleshed out.
typos, and I'm gonna read it to you with the typo.
Anyways, so I don't really have any news for the week specifically, but I did want to mention a little something cool that I did while in New Orleans, just for like literary enthusiasts. So there's actually a house right next to Jackson Square in the St. Louis Cathedral where William Faulkner used to live, which is pretty cool. And most of the building is still tenant apartments, but they converted one part into a small bookstore called Faulkner House Books.
Ooh.
And they sell new and used books, including classic and rare edition books by Faulkner and other historic writers. It's at 624 Pirates Alley in the French Quarter, And for those of you who have never been to New Orleans before, this isn't a place that you can just drive to. Like, it's a literal tiny alley, like going towards the front of the cathedral on Jackson Square if you come off Royal Street. So if you're in the area, you'll just have to like put the address into your GPS and like hoof it over there. But go check it out if you're in New Orleans. It's a really cute place. It's really beautiful on the inside.
Okay, so you went there.
Yes. I ended up not getting anything, but they had like all kinds of books there, so something for everyone. But yeah, there's like, you walk in and it's basically just like one like small room. There's like bookshelves like all the way up. There's like a huge chandelier like in the middle of the room. And then there's like another little small room to the right that has all of their like rare edition stuff, like things that are like actually like autographed
by Faulkner.
I think it said that they had like some stuff autographed by him,
because that would be insane.
There were, I'm trying to remember, but I did see like some other works by like other like famous authors that said that it was like signed and everything. So it has like their rare editions, and then like their like poetry and prose are like in the back.
Cool.
Too, but it was really cool. It was a really cute like hidden gem.
Yeah, I love a little hole in the wall. Yeah.
Also, there was that one bookstore.
Yeah, that was just a mess.
That I sent a picture to Andria. That was the complete opposite.
Chaotic.
You walk in. It is literal, like, floor-to-ceiling books, and
I think I like that even more.
It was so tiny.
I love the chaos of a tight space and just floors or books stacked on the floor.
Yeah, it was really, like, nice and cozy and everything, but just walk in and just, like, oh my gosh. like all of the books are, like, turned around basically, so like I couldn't even really tell what kinds of books there were, which that was right across the street from us. I need to figure out what the name of that place was.
Which myself, me and Andria, we actually went to a bookstore on our honeymoon.
Yeah, it was really nice.
I couldn't tell you the name of it, but it was super, super cool. I got a couple of Neil Gaiman books. And you found a copy.
Savannah.
Yeah, you got a copy of Anna Karenina, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was a really pretty copy of Anna Karenina.
Yeah, it was kind of a older version.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so the crazy bookstore that I went to is called Arcadian Books and Art Prints, and it's right across from the Bourbon Orleans Hotel in the French Quarter, which was where we stayed at.
Cool.
All right, Andria.
All right, I'm going to do this.
Oh, no.
One time.
All right.
As a special treat.
All right.
To my best friend who just got married.
Yeah, I think eventually we may have a special episode. Once we reach so many episodes, and if we get a little bit of a following, we may do this as a special.
This is very special, guys.
Here's a preview for you all. For this finale. Here we go.
Olivia's favorite. It's called The Haunted Bouncy Castle.
Oh my god. This is my wife.
Should I read it like I wrote it, like at 4 a.m.?
That is up to you.
Okay, I'm going to read it like I wrote it at 4 a.m. It's not going to be grammatically correct. Much begging, decide to go to the state fair. Becca's mom gives her some money and permission to ride what she desires. Her family dotes on Becca because she's the only daughter left after their eldest daughter mysteriously died. Amidst all the chaos of the fair, Becca exits the last ride on her own. Her mom is there waiting, and they decide to jump in this haunted bouncy castle. The bounce house had frames of old stock war photos at the top, with several mirrors. Which is a safety hazard. They start jumping and having a good old time, is what I said. The dad jumps near one of the photos and stares intently. He then backs up and slips on the bouncy castle floor. Richard? Dad? Are you okay? Silence. Hannah. I saw Hannah in the mirror. Mom consoles him. While Becca keeps bouncing. She feels a familiar pull guiding her to one of the mirrors into which she stares intently. A flash of lightning strikes near the castle. In the background, you hear the man running the ride say, "Come on, time to get out, we're closing." Mom tries to pull me away, but I'm in too deep. If I look away, I'll miss something. I can feel it. Thunder and another strike. "Come on, please, people." Seeing he was getting nowhere, he called us crazy and left his post for shelter. The fair went dark, and she couldn't see the mirror anymore. She kept staring while her parents insisted on leaving. Flash. A face flashes on the mirror. It's Hannah's face. Becca falls back, and images and sounds flood her mind. She cradles her head in her hands from the intense surge of pain. Words popped in her head as if she was reading a book that had highlighted the words. How? Mom. Procrastinate. Save. Grandma. Birds. Becca. Show. Just gibberish for a minute. Then it starts pouring rain, and my eyes widely open like I'm being forced to watch TV with clamps on my eyes.
What's happening?
I saw scenes of birds, river, Hannah and I playing, a gun in a hand, the bang that followed, fireworks, yelling between Hannah and Mom. The word sorry flashed and my eyes closed, and the images ended. I felt a hand on my shoulder, but when I looked to see from where it came, it was gone. I looked at my confused parents. "I told you it wasn't a fluke. Another vision, eh?" I looked out the bouncy castle entrance and saw the old woman I saw in my dream just down the hill.
Grandma?
My parents and I exited the bouncy castle. But it was so dark and raining so hard, we couldn't see a thing. I reached for my shoes we had to take off to get into the castle, of course. But it was in vain. Barefoot it would have to be. I reached for my wallet in my back pocket, but it was gone. I freak out because it was the wallet Hannah had given me. What if someone took it? Mom said we'd head down the hill since the car wasn't too far from it anyway. The lightning came, and every time it lit our path. They find the water-covered wallet, and Becca bends down to get it. When she raises back up, the old lady is in her face. It's pitch black, but her face is glowing. A kind smile is on her face. She touches my hands and walks away towards this tent. We stumble in and find the old lady is gone. Who do you think that old lady is? Old lady? You didn't see her? No. I did. A lady came out from the shadows. Who are you? I'm the fortune teller, Madame Noritz. But now I'm just June.
I'm off the clock.
I saw the old lady you speak of. Her name is Sue. Mom started flipping out. Who is Sue, Mom? Your great-grandmother. June kept her composure. The spirits like Becca. How do you know my name? Sue told me. And that's it.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
You dreamt this?
Yeah. So, thoughts?
Do you even know a Becca?
No.
You'll have to.
Or I don't know a Madame Noritz either.
Or no, a Madame Doritz, yeah.
So, okay. Really quick. We're gonna break this down.
All right, let's do it. Break it down.
So there were images in the bouncy castle. Could you only see them if you jumped? That was my first question. Did you have to jump to look at them, or were they there?
Well, she does stop jumping to cradle her head in her hand, so I guess not.
So they're just on the wall? You don't have to jump? to see them?
Okay, but it's a bounce house.
It's a bounce house. They're eye level.
Yeah.
I was thinking you would jump to be able to see them.
I mean, you can.
They're like on a level to where you have to jump to see it clearly.
But they're like tall. Like they're not. She's not a kid, and her parents are fully grown. So
okay, well, it's a haunted
just
bouncy castle,
level.
so I'm kind of thinking of like a regular haunted house, whereas like things are like warped and there's like photo frames because it said that there's like some on the ceiling,
like a gallery wall.
Yeah.
Of photos.
I'm
it's
thinking of an
just, like,
inflatable bouncy castle.
and mirrors.
Yeah.
There's mirrors in there.
How? Is this like a shack with a jumping
So
pad?
I'm not thinking. I think she says like, or she doesn't say it, but I think it's like a circular mirror, kind of like it's a frame. It's just like enough to have her face in it. It's not
just enough.
It's not a full length mirror.
Don't ask questions. It's a dream.
Anything else?
Tune in next week and I might reveal some song lyrics I wrote when I was 19.
Ooh.
We'll see.
That's spicy.
Well, I loved it, Andria.
Thank you.
That was a good story.
Thank you.
I don't think you've ever told me that one.
Really?
I don't think so.
I've heard it multiple times.
Olivia's heard it multiple times.
It's my favorite.
And it just keeps getting better.
I just love the Richard Dad because it sounds like it's coming from the same person.
Right.
When you tell it.
It's definitely supposed to be the wife. Richard.
And then
Dad.
Richard. Dad.
That just makes me crack up every time.
I am the fortune teller, Madame Noritz. But now,
you can call me
I'm just June. I'm off. I clocked out an hour ago.
That part's funny too.
The charlatan.
Mm-hmm. All right, Andrea, do you want to tell everyone what we're reading for next week?
Have you decided what the next episode will be?
Yes, let me unlock my Kindle. Okay. So, it is my pick for the next, I guess, month or 3 weeks, so however we split it up. We're going to read The Moonflowers by Abigail Rose-Marie. It sounds very interesting.
What made you choose that one?
Well, I believe it takes place in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was like, that might be interesting.
Yeah, I actually read the little blurb on it today. So, yeah, it takes place in Kentucky. And you said
Harbin, Kentucky.
you want to read chapters 1 through 10 for next episode, right?
Yeah, I think that's about 107 pages.
The Moonflowers, chapters 1 through 10, will be discussed next week.
I know what I'm going to pick after that book,
So
but I'm going to save that to myself.
Okay.
I'm going to save that to myself just so
you guys,
we don't get confused.
If
We don't
you're
get confused.
a Kindle girly, you can get The Moonflowers on Kindle Unlimited. So you don't have to buy it.
I'm buying the paperback copy because I'm just about that life.
We got to get a book trophy. Yeah, so like if you read on your Kindle a book and you like it, you get a book trophy. You go get the physical copy of the book.
Interesting.
Yeah, some people like to read the digital version and then buy themselves a trophy. I just ordered The Moonflowers, by the way. I didn't even know that was the one.
Oh, okay. Did you get the right one?
The Moonflowers. Abigail Rose-Marie.
Yes, I did go ahead and download it to my Kindle. So
Yes.
I'm all right,
We'll get that taken care of.
And we will talk about the education of literature.
all right, yes.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at OneLitPod. Of course, submit your stories to our Gmail, onelitpod@gmail.com. But we will see you all next week. Read your chapters.
Bye.
Bye.